All right. Dan sigach yoyak Treaty 10 news man ya Rick la Liberty ga pixwa taganos. Wakumagan nan ipitago tidi pigi ito tasipise. Today we have a very special guest that's come home all the way from over the mountains back to Beauval, and a big history of Beauval and Sipisik and the families of our community here. Jacquie Bouvier has joined us here today. Jacquie, you're back home. This is where your original homestead. It brings back memories, but it was also like a crossroads. You had moved from across the river, and now the story from here, you moved out of town and you moved to a whole new river, Saskatchewan River in Saskatoon. So your story is quite the journey. But welcome home, and feel free to share what you wish about your experiences, or if you have any questions on how things are here. But we just want to know, I guess, how your adventure has been since you left Beauval. What you're looking back, what your fondest memories are, what your most curious adventures may have been going forward. But now that you live in British Columbia, what advice would you give young Jacquelines that are just making their decisions to go forth into their lives? What kind of advice would you give the young people and young grandchildren that I guess that we're looking at for the future?
Nimiutino te apian, iktakagi wigian in the village. August 5th, 1952, I was born Nipi down by first bridge, in a little house. Bapa is Dor Bouvier, Igwan Mama Elizabeth Drosher Bouvier. Igwa Bapa was working for the mission for years. We moved from there to the mission. What? I'm not saying. We moved there and lived in a little house to Crosse, and he started going when I was 6 years old. And I was there for 5 months in a boarding school in Crosse. Physical abuse was done to me by the community member, Mwili Prisikti. It was the nuns, it was the community members. In Bigi one Christmas, Bapa said, Mas muikawi kay Tuhtan. Paul stayed in Crosse in the boarding school. All my brothers and sisters, they were older. Louis Drosher, he's well known here. He used to drive the bus with a fuel truck, school bus. My sister Therese went to the residential school. My brother Tony Drosher, he lived in Crosse. My brother Eugene, who was deaf, school for the deaf was Saskatoon Kituftiu. My sister Tony, Antoinette, she was a vet because she's buried in Crosse, Veteranski Miwaka stone. My brother Tony worked on that. To Charlie, he got to Paul, and I had another brother, Mom, Igim Skoa, a 60 scoop. He was taken from my mother's arms and adopted out. But before my mom kaput matset, November 3rd, 1999, sige to find your brother to. We found him. He's in Nevada, to skill in Nevada. We go to a woman from Nevada. Few of my nieces have gone to visit him. I'm going to go meet him in August, the end of August in Seattle.
Oh.
Yeah. And I hope to take Charlie with me. We'll have a reunion. We're on social media, FaceTime, we talk to each other. Two of my baby sisters, they were born in 1921. Their names were Louise, Mary Rose, 1926. They were both infants. And they're buried somewhere in the La Plonge English River Cemetery, Beauval. And that is why I'm here. They're doing GPR work and they're using an S4 probe. Maga pigo paigo, I'm on Tuesday, so I'm coming back August 12th. I guess what I'd like to say, we moved from here, Billy Hudeste. Uta, everybody was gone. A few years after Kapukmatsit when we moved to Saskatoon. We were poor. Uta, Skisian Mama, imi a little note. Hudson's Beatty Tuchtian, and the manager said no. I brought that little note back home. Mots in the town, Mum. We didn't have nothing to eat. Before that, my dad had everything. He provided food, wood for the stove, and everything else. Mama, there was no phones. Billy will hire Billy. Billy moved us to Saskatoon. My family was there. We lived in Saskatoon. High school in Saskatoon. But I faced racism, a lot of racism. Being an Aboriginal student. I worked at A&W. I met a guy, Munyao, and as soon as I turned 18, just to leave home and to get away from everyone, I married him. We moved to Mission, BC. That's when it started. I lived in Mission for 3 years. I left the marriage, Vancouver. If it wasn't for the director of the Friendship Center, that was in 1974. They helped me out, and the director and outreach workers came. It's hard if people want to move. A lot of people think Vancouver is God's country, but you have to be able to survive or you won't make it. My niece died in Vancouver. Had to bring her back. It really hit my brother Tony and his wife hard. You have to be able to search. It's expensive to live there, to be able to ask for help. Otherwise you won't make it. It's good to be home. It brought back memories and some because it brought up a lot of emotions. And Rick had me driving around. He drove me around because I didn't bring a car. It was made me feel so good to be back home. It's a lot bigger than when I moved in the 70s. My Papa is buried in the cemetery. Louis, who is tall, and my mom was at Crosse.
Just on when you left for Saskatoon, and you mentioned in the hard times, a lot of young people are making those decisions now for employment, family, or education. But you mentioned the friendship centers. How critical do you think friendship centers are in, I guess, Aboriginal people living in major cities? Should they make themselves available to volunteer or help or seek help from those friendship centers?
What happened with me was my sister was involved with that when we moved to Saskatoon. She was involved with the Saskatoon Friendship Center. So that was instilled with me. Paul, he was an outreach worker for the Saskatoon Friendship Center. When I moved to Vancouver, I still had that in the back of my mind. I went to the Friendship Center and they said, sure, we'll help you. Because I was on the street. They had outreach workers.
Yeah.
I believe they know about friendship centers. So it's a friendship center is I believe, friendship to go in there and get help. You just have to ask for help. Vancouver is a big one. They're buying motels for the youth that are on the street. They have their supported living. Some all on Hastings youth.
Wow.
Yeah. And I worked for Directions Youth Services when I moved in 2018. 99% were Indigenous youth leaving foster care from all over Canada. Tsumaksuak, Kukumisikatsik. And they have their own self-contained suites with everything. We just go in to make sure they're okay. They have to go to school. Aging out is 19, the government says. When I argue with them, at least 21 na tawag man. You don't go and say, okay, you're 19 now, you go. So we help them out, graduation and everything else. There was a few of them went back on the street. They'll go all kind of with the outreach workers. And there's a connection with the Friendship Center and all the Indigenous Youth Services in the computer. So we find out where they are. They'll go all kind of on the street. They have a little chair for me to sit.
Well, when you mention East Hastings, we see in the news the big. We always thought the big city problems that's where the heavy drugs are going to be. Well, the reality now it's in our villages, Uti. It's hit our communities. It's hit hard, and you see the addiction cycle of especially meth with how cheap and to get it access to, but the body and how it plays on your mind and humanity, and they're scared to come down. They want to stay up there. What kind of services? What can we do in the village? What advice would you give us? It's going to be our grandchildren now that are facing this. So it's generational. We talked about the generational impact. We never had these pitfalls before. Heroin I mutamin, cocaine I mutamin, the meth I mutamin, aspirin maybe, for whatever came in the store supply. But now this computer and internet gives these young people the wrong advice. So in terms of as grandparents, what advice would you see? You see the impacts in the cities, but it's here. If the problem is here, what advice would you give us?
That's a hard question. What? That's where I seen it. Harm reduction. They believed in harm reduction. When I went for the interview, they said, do you believe in harm reduction? I never did. But I didn't tell them that. I just said, what do you think harm reduction is? And I just said, which was the right answer, that if they use, that they're safe. That's what harm reduction in the place that I worked at, in 10 KC Kataho. We go and knock on the door. If they have drugs, we make sure that they're doing okay. So I said, we're supplying that, but they have to say, I want to go to treatment. We can't force them. BC, we can't. They go across the street, we use Narcan. 14 vials one day. We were shooting a girl up. We got CPR Istaya. And she came back, the ambulance came, Ipigi Wikawi, and she said, Iksoasit, you wrecked my arm. I said, come here, Mitao. Your lips were blue, you were just about gone. Maybe that's what I want to do. They go into treatment, Kawi, they come back. So the crystal meth is mixed with a whole bunch of different things. Their mind is all gone. Mental health is real bad. So we just can't. The harm reduction I don't believe in, but it helps them. They're not using alone. We're checking on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're not addressing the addiction. You're addressing the outside harm, like could be HIV, could be anything, anything that's beyond the addiction.
They go and get their drugs. If they go and buy it, they go and get it checked. safe injection site.
Yeah.
There's nothing else we can do. And they're buying it for $10 a hit.
And that's what we're hearing in the news about this harm reduction is BC's revisiting, especially like the safe injection sites we hear in the news.
Yeah.
That's the change that's happening.
Yeah.
But what are they offering now though? If they're pulling back on that, are they coming back with another strategy? What?
No, not yet. They're working on putting treatment centers. They're building more places because they're living in tent cities, and they're doing drugs in there. They go into detox. Just after detox, they're so sick that they just leave. Kawi, they go back. It's a cycle, we watch. This continuing cycle. It's sad to see. Yeah.
And how would young people avoid those pitfalls? How would you by experimentation? It's too late, eh?
Yeah.
You're experimenting.
Yeah.
You have to have strong will, self-discipline, family support. You got to you got to have something working on.
Most of these youth are traumatized. They're in foster care. They don't even know who their mom is. They're abandoned. That's where it starts. They need loving. It starts in a school. They need Aboriginal in Vancouver. In cities, they need Aboriginal workers. They need elders to talk to them and not judge them, because they're in foster care. They came from foster care. They don't even know how to hug. They need life skills. That's what I believe in, and we have a case plan for the youth. We don't say you have to do this, but there's a case plan. This is who you go and see. There's youth centers. The main goal is to love them. When that 123 in Kamloops were mentioned, a youth came into the youth center. Directions Youth Services is open 24 hours. What is that? And we explained what it was. He says, that's what we go through.
No.
Yeah. That's what we're going through. The foster care tweet, a young guy from Alberta, he said, Kukum Jacquie, the foster system is the next residential school. The highest number in BC was highest than the residential school in BC, the Indigenous people in foster care.
Mama Scots, that's hard to. So it's not when they say generational. It does seep to the next young ones. The young ones feel it. They're affected by it, but we don't have a solution or a healing for that.
No.
We're looking at the original harm, but not what they're carrying today.
Home visits kay tutaman in their rooms before they moved into our self-contained apartments. Well, needles, kakaligway, tin foil, all that is in there. Outreach workers are trying their best. The nurses, everyone else. And there's more and more and more people dying in Vancouver. More and more and more and more. Because they're using alone. No one is with them to use the Narcan.
And the drugs are tainted as well, as we know, with fentanyl.
Yeah.
So, hi man, it's so in our little villages, that same problem you're talking about is here. It's in Crosse, it's in Cold Bay, Jans Bay, Pachinak. We're facing it. People are affecting families, and affecting education, affecting the schools. So that love, that caring po, you can't, as you mentioned, the more you push away, the more harm is being done, right? So to reduce all that, and as we always said, that takes a whole village the munihiga tiguma.
Yeah.
It's some.
Top one, yeah.
Well, bringing back home with that. What are your fondest memories with that? The in school and you had a lot of friends, cousins,
School across the way.
and
A lot of friends, laughter, love. I was loved by everyone. I was loved by everyone till towards when I was in my teenage years. There was jealousy by other females. I don't know what they were jealous of. That's when Mom said we're moving because of that and being poor, Nina, and no one being here. Yeah. And my mom was too proud to ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for wood and all that, for food, Nina. Yeah, and all the family was gone, all over. Charlie was all over the place. Louis, Tony, yeah.
So when you left here, Billy Hood us,
Yeah.
Billy Hood drove down the gravel road.
Yeah, drove down the gravel road to Saskatoon. We stayed in a motel till we found a place. Yeah, my brother Eugene lived with us. Higweks kasi yan, welfare daw up, mama. And that welfare worker said, we're not helping you. Kuya, this is my experience of the first time going to an urban center. Igwa, mama matsumatut, and I was only 13. And I've seen my mom, and this guy was telling her, no, we can't help you.
Wow.
Yeah. That stayed in me. And when I moved to Vancouver, after I started doing good, I took social work certificate course. 50 years human resources, yeah. But to give back, I was hired at the Friendship Center in Vancouver as family worker. So when I moved here, they hired me in Saskatoon. Yeah.
Mama Scott's, your experiences, we all grow up in different phases. I guess our childhood memories, right in this corner, my mom would come visit your mom.
Yeah.
And that family support, but when you left it's like canoeing on your own in a city, eh?
Yeah. So Scott's, that loving relatives and everything else, friends, you have to make new friends. You got racism was bad in the 70s in Saskatoon. Yeah. That's why I ended up in the Baldwin. All my friends were in the Baldwin. From little Hank to everybody else.
Well, that's certainly a big memory there, eh? No, we were talking with Sid Fiddler, and you talked about Hank Fiddler and all the connections. Marius Paul and Simon
boys,
Paul.
Boyer, the Rocher boys. Utan bapa kagi pupmatsit. Utong makapupmatsit in our house here. Igitoyam haya. It was in March, Lent time, in the morning. Tan tumagamo, you're shaving itat mama. Because we never shaved till Sunday morning for church. My mom and dad were both strong Roman Catholics. Igwa. Tanikitikwi. I just feel like shaving too. So we went to church. They came back. My son and I went to school. He went and laid down. In our house.
Wow.
Yeah. Kahtipo, the bell rang, we were in school. Peter Hood was classmate. Harvey Morin, I remember. Mary Malbeth. Mary Roy. The bell kasi wipay. Okay, kasi manakampit the bell rings. Kakutap goya. The sir kapitutit. Jacqueline need to go in. I never thought either one of them, I thought something happened to somebody else, but we heard the bell. And we all looked at each other. Igwa, your dad passed away, Katuchi. The priest was just there. It's in Biggie one. No one came with me. I just came home. Mamautapu papiagapit. The priest had went home already. The community started coming. Yeah. He was still in the bedroom. Yeah. Go ahead, little doggy, yeah, what that little dog went all over with him. Apu the priest, he didn't want that dog. Didn't want the priest to go near Dad.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. He used to go picking berries with that dog. Yeah. When he moved, he worked for the mission for years and years and years. They gave him a house, a little white house. He moved it here himself in the winter time in a sleigh and horses from, I got them up in the mission.
Agamse.
Yeah, Agamse. Yeah. Yeah. Victoria Chikusunetik. I put a gate there. I don't want the village people to come around with their RVs in it thick. And camping, we'll go with their quads.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I went there yesterday.
Oh.
My homestead. Cape Foundation Tastu. Stand up and brought back memories just like this. Yeah. Yeah. My mom always had the door open. The boys from the village would stay there. My brother's friends, Hoods, Vianiwista. He was there, Tapto, with the boys. Yeah.
So that side of the memory, how far back can you remember some of the aunts and uncles on your mom and dad's side? What are some of the family names that the Kisian?
And Papa was married before. Malian is a half-sister. Malian Sikchu. Cecile Lafleur. I missed another one. Cecile Lafleur. Malian. Anyway, that the first marriage. Igua. I wasn't at first accepted by the half-sisters. Maga. Not all of them. They accepted me and stuff like that towards the end. This is my mom's second marriage. We stuck on Nistan Bapa. I'm the only one from the second marriage. And I remember Papa's brother coming to visit. He got all his children, which is your grandpa. He got, they helped Mom out quite a bit in the mission and everything else. They used to come and visit. Your dad used to come and visit. Mukats is kaskistao English in Bapa. He didn't understand English. My sister Tony Manakiam Hiyo, on tamanim spapitsik. But he understood French, Merchif, Latin, sign language, his own sign language to my brother. Yeah, he was a hard-working man. There's pictures of him with the water tower. He burned off a stick with Kimblees. Yeah. And he worked in the farm, in the mission. In the mission, when he said, you're not going back to Alacrice, I attended residential school. Third generation. My grandma attended, and mama. My mom was an orphan, and she stayed there all the time. She never blamed anyone, but things happened with her. Because she worked in the industrial part. She was making uniforms for the priests and nuns. For the sewing pedal.
Yeah?
Yeah. In the kitchen, and they put me here. In the picture, we have pictures of her wearing a bonnet and a overcoat. Some megwe hair to touch.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Mukat, she never blamed anyone. She started one time with something happened with her sexually in dorm. I had an angry look on my face. This is my mom. She was disclosing with me. So Scotchies pull you. Some too. And I asked an elder, and the elder said, Kauya, just let her be. Yeah. So I never did. And what she was saying to me happened to me. The start of it. And it was worse. It happened to me. But my friends, we used to wait. We used to hear the steps in the dorm. Priests coming. Igual Anantapik. Grade 1 we were doing class. In grade 1 we were making hearts. None of I said, Jacqueline, you color yours black because you got a black heart. That stayed with me for years and years and years. You know, I'm a black heart and I put humor. Humor is getting me over a lot of things. And that stayed with me when I used to argue with my ex-husband. Well, I got a black heart, so shut up, Dauman. You got that right, and maybe that's why we're divorced. Yeah.
Well, I guess that in closing here, you'll be back hopefully in August after the results of the findings and the search that's happening, but also the stories that you have are a part of this search as well. It's the history, it's our stories.
Yeah.
So anytime you feel like sharing a story, just call us. Okay. I think we got to record our people's experience, our family knowledge, our kinship. Yeah. You got to nurture them. Yeah. We'll forget. Eh?
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, the advice for the young people is search out that love.
Yeah.
Find a safe space for you to be nurtured.
Yeah.
And the ones that are lost, as a community, we got to try and find ways to bring them home.
Yeah. Instead of a body bag.
Yeah.
If they're gone. Yeah.
I guess as part of our humor, I want you to tell me what happened at Platko's house.
We were at a party. She's not doing good with you'll put it later.
Yeah.
We were partying. Agnes, Shirley. Agnes, 10 years ago, I was at a barbecue in the village. Kasi Jackie, Platko's house naman, Shirley kagumutit car, we went right through it. Bullshit, you were sitting in the back. I blocked it, 3 of us went right through. And then we Platko in the back. And we drove through there. Yesterday, you pointed at memories. So that's what we did for fun. He's creepy early in the morning.
No, that moment in time, as kids, we saw the car going by. It was dinner time. We were going home for lunch. I thought they got Platko's house. But there's an unsolved mystery about it. We finally got to the bottom of it. There was 3 young ladies in that car. We only knew of the 2 before. Well, I thank you, Jackie, for sitting down and sharing, and thank you for your journey as well, because it's an inspiration. You have the laughter, you have the memories, and we look forward to your continuing your story when you come back.
Okay, thank you.
Tapos.
Yeah.